please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Then could you do roll call, please?
Trustee Barheit,
Here.
trustee Faber,
Here.
trustee Gant,
Here.
president Bucher,
Here.
trustee Hopkins,
Here.
and trustee Young is absent.
Okay. Did we meet open meeting compliance?
We did on Friday at 4 p.m.
Trustees, do I have approval of the agenda sequence?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll go into public comments. You may address the board. There will be no back and forth discussions, and please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Dale Meller, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Dale Meller, 9961 270th Court. Trigger. Sorry.
Just start.
Okay. So my name is Dale Meller, and I'm a 30-year resident of the village. Thanks for hearing me today. My comments are directed to agenda item 9.1, Public Works, regarding the public notification of proposed projects to be undertaken by the various village commissions, with a particular focus on the Parks Commission. Recent personal experience with the village's notification of public works leads me to request more effective forms of communication between the village and the community at large. The permanent changes at the Salem Community Park passive area to include a disc golf tournament course is my example for ineffective notification of public works by the village to the residents of the village. Although relied upon forms of notification with village residents, posting at this location, the Silver Lake Post Office and email sign-up list were used in the discovery and planning process for this project, residents and habitual users of the passive area were unaware of this project until actual work began. Had public notices been available on location detailing the proposed changes, village residents and users of the passive area would have been better able to let the village know of their concerns, give valuable input regarding the proposed changes, or simply let villagers know that they approved. Or simply let the village know that they approved. Bringing effective notification to the residents of the village of Salem Lakes is the responsibility and duty of the village as it serves the community. The availability of the e-notification system to the village residents is an effective form of communication used by the village, and yet it is not wholly adequate to the needs of the community at large. Making changes to what is here and now ought to involve the residents of the village. To do so effectively, the village should consider exploring more effective forms of communication with its residents. Temporary notice boards erected and clearly marked at the location of proposed projects is an option. Notices posted in more public locations such as the grocery stores, bars, gas stations is an option. Thank you.
Thanks. Randy Scott, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Randy Scott, 23408 124th Place, Tree, Wisconsin. I'm gonna find myself here. Within your rules. Are ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I have to acknowledge Kenosha County Eye, because I've been gone for a while and realize that what Kevin Matthewson is doing over there fills in things that I've missed. And that's a good thing. That I agree with everything he writes, but information is key. I think he provides that. I think he unites people, and I think that he encourages a divided government. That's the foundation of our United States of America, a divided government. That means what executives do is checked by what the legislators do, and it's checked by what the judicial does. I find most people want to get along. They just want to get along. Katie Barnagora and the rule of law. Now, I might be a little biased speaking about Kevin Mathewson, but in 1993, I was the owner and publisher of Kenosha Digital News. Went on for 2 years, and back then, when reporters, west of the Iowa Coffee Pledge, and whatever local town board told them to do, they can do. Right now, we know that the news is pretty well fake, that they're propaganda by whoever comes forward and has the power to get them to write. It was a pretty popular website back then too. It developed into year-end news and review with the other fake news, Kenosha News. I decided to walk away from that. Went and got a paralegal certificate from Carthage College, taught by Carleen Copper. And then once I completed that, I was pretty excited. I continued on to Concordia University, picked up a bachelor's in criminal justice, a bachelor's in communication management. I didn't stop there. I went ahead and got the master's in public administration, a master's in communication and management, and a master's in network management.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
can you get to your point
Sure.
unless you're interviewing?
It's all part of the point, and the point is that we need to make sure that we don't become creative with our enforcement issues again, like we had in a couple of years ago. I hear there were creative enforcement, people were going outside what the law says, outside of what the ordinance specifically writes, and that was more of a tyranny. That was more of a, we're gonna do what we want, when we want it, and how we want it. There's an enforcement issue against my father who planted bushes in 1994. And it was done anonymously, and the websites say that it should be done anonymously. It's very suspicious that that has moved so fast, and looking forward to addressing that some more in the future on behalf of my 86-year-old mother and my deceased father. Thank you.
Thanks. Richard, is it Dehan? Dehan, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Richard C. Dehan. I live at 12630 254th Court, Wisconsin. Been resident here for almost 20 years, and we love it. The question I have is there's a dump yard north of where I live, on the west side of the railroad track, where people can take their grass clippings, look at treatment pits and just dump them off. The vehicle gate is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Just put with me, I'm a retiree. They come and grass anytime I want to and take it up there. The problem is that there is a pedestrian gate up there that's been locked for 2 weeks. And so people that live in there that work Monday through Friday have a chance to cut their grass on weekend. If they man it up, they like to take it up there to the yards and go walk. Well, if the pedestrian gate is locked, they can't cut their grass. They can't walk through the gate. I've done myself. I've cut my grass on Saturdays. Walk through the gate, take the grass over to the wall where it belongs. If the gate is locked, nobody has access to that area. I'm just asking that the pedestrian gate be unlocked 24 hours a day so that people that work Monday through Friday can take their grass up there on Saturdays and Sundays and drop off. I don't think that's too much chance. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Wes Wilson. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Wesley Wilson. I live in Twin Lakes, but I own local George's at 225 Railroad Street, which is Silver Lake. Today we're doing, we're celebrating our 2-year anniversary. So on June 1st, I wanted to know if I could close the street down in front of the restaurant for 5 hours so I could have a band outside for the anniversary party. 2 years ago, we did it my opening year, and just wanted to see if I could do it again. So I'm just asking to see if I could get it on the agenda for the next meeting, which would be May 12th. Thank you.
Okay, item number 6. Sorry, 7, president's comments. 7.1, I would like to talk about rescheduling the June 3rd village board meeting to June 10th at 6 p.m. This is due to my schedule and I will be out of town. I had asked if I could participate via Zoom, but it was not, recommended. And, because we have some important items on our agendas, I would rather reschedule than miss a meeting, but if that is not okay with all of you, then we'll keep it on the 3rd and
I don't have a problem.
everybody's okay?
That's next Monday, yeah.
Okay, so June 10th. Thank you.
That's you.
Oh, a motion? Okay,
Motion.
Make a motion to change the meeting from June 3rd to June 10th.
oh, true. So we could put it on for the next agenda to do the motion.
Hold on.
All right, there's no action item.
The consensus is,
You can do it at your next meeting.
Okay. Will do. I'll add it to my list. All right. Okay. So last week I gave a speech, which I'd like to do yearly. And it was on what we've accomplished this last year. And I highlighted those that came on board, our new faces, and they helped us to make those, monumental changes in a very short amount of time. This week, I would like to talk about those that played a large role as well, but they weren't as visible, and that's our employees. Our employees work hard day to day. Everything that went on last year, I personally want to acknowledge that it was, I can't even imagine, but incredibly difficult to work here. I would imagine feeling from not knowing if they were going to have a job, not knowing if they were going to be next. It was very chaotic the first 7 months of since the election last year. And I know myself, I did not have the time to come in and acknowledge the employees just because of everything going on. But I'm going to ask our board if they could try to, come in, get to know them, ask them how they're doing, see if they need things, and be supportive. Because honestly, without our everyday workers, the ladies in the office, the public works, the highway department, the fire department, we would not be able to do this. And we need that support crew. So it really is important to acknowledge their contributions and to be aware of, that they went through an equally difficult time last year. So that is what I want to say. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who, does lend them support. And I want to say thank you to all of our employees who work hard every day. And, even though myself, and I'm just going to talk for me, that I don't always communicate it, I do appreciate it. So that's what I want to say. So we will go into the agenda. Number 8, planning. 8.1, discussion and possible action on ordinance 2024.05-83, adopting an amendment to maps 23, 24, and 25 of the Village of Salem Lakes Land Use Plan, Wisconsin Style Barbecue LLC, owner Mark Weimler, I think. Agent requesting an amendment from street and highway right-of-way, commercial, medium density, residential, and primary environmental corridor to commercial and primary environmental corridor on tax parcels 704-120-321-0889, 704-120-321-0916, and 704-120-321-0847. For informational purposes only, these properties are located on the north side of County Highway C, approximately 388 feet east of 286th Avenue.
Based on the recommendation of our planning and zoning commission and the 7-0 vote, I'll move to, make the change.
I'll second.
Okay, Faber and Hopkins, discussion? Any discussion, or does anyone have any questions? No?
There's really nothing to add. This has been through all of our processes and it's before the board this evening to make the final actions on actually all three of the items on the plan.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimous. 8.2, discussion and possible action on ordinance 2024.05-84, amending the Village of Salem Lake zoning map. Wisconsin Style Barbecue LLC owner Mark Weimler, agent requesting a rezoning from R5 Urban Single Family Residential District and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District to B3 Highway Business District and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District on tax parcels 704-120-321-0916 and 704. I think we have a typo in there. 321-0847. For informational purposes only, these properties are located on the north side of County Highway C, approximately 388 feet east of 286th Avenue.
So moved.
I think can I just, the second parcel number is 704-120-321-0847. Sorry, who did the first and the second?
Myself and,
Ronnie.
yeah,
Okay, Hopkins and Gant, any discussion or questions? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 8.3, discussion and possible action on a request from Wisconsin Style Barbecue LLC owner Mark Weimler, agent, for a conditional use permit to allow a restaurant with outdoor dining, recreation, and entertainment in the B3 Highway Business District on tax parcels 704-120-321-0889, 704-120-321-0916, and 704-120-321-0847. For informational purposes only, these properties are located on the north side of County Highway C, approximately 388 feet east of 286th Avenue.
Based on the recommendation of our planning and zoning commission, again, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Faber and Gant, discussion?
There's limited hours. What are the hours for the outdoor entertainment part?
that would fall under the current ordinance.
And they are,
For the outdoor, I believe it's 10 PM, is that?
I believe so.
Oh,
We
it says in the, as a condition, 10 to 10.
yeah, intent. And that's Friday, Saturday, or is that Sunday too?
It's listed as shall be limited to Thursday through Monday and holidays between 10 and 10
Okay,
for the concert.
Any other? Discussions, questions? All right, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Number 9, Public Works, 9.1, discussion and direction requested for signage at parks, notifying the public of changes planned or occurring at parks.
So moved.
All right, thank you. So this was a community request to be added to the agenda, and as you heard, there was a comment on this earlier this evening. Just to give you a little bit of background on this, we do not actually have signage boards or message boards at every single one of our parks. So if this was a direction that the board would like us to go, I brought an example of something that we do for some of our public hearings. You could do something like this at the public parks if there's going to be a notice of a change or a potential change. But we wouldn't have a board you could actually go just to fix something to, because it doesn't exist at some of our parks.
Can we get a little bit bigger? They're hard to see driving by.
Sure, this is just an example, so this
Yeah,
is,
that's what I mean.
you'd have to put something in the ground temporary, or you'd have to erect some sort of a permanent structure for a message board, but we don't actually have something at all of the parks. So this evening was discussion and direction. Is this something you would like us to pursue? If so, what kind of structure or notification would you like to see? Would it be something like this that we would have printed and put in place? Would it be maybe just a wooden board with stable, something laminated to?
Sure.
Or do you want to actually construct something more permanent?
Well, they're not gonna be there permanently.
They won't.
It's only when something, a change is gonna take place.
And that's the same thing we use on any variances or permits.
Yeah, this is for your Board of Appeals and our Planning Commission. It's just
I mean, when they go to change zoning, we have something similar. Is that the one we have on the zoning changes?
I believe this is what we have. Brad apologizes. He couldn't be here this evening. He was supposed to help me with this one. So this is what he gave me for demonstration purposes.
So basically, a time frame would be roughly a month that this sign would be put up, correct?
Yes.
Start small.
And you want to mount it permanently, not on a sandwich board or something like they get
Well,
that open?
this is considered temporary. So
Yeah,
you could
it's
put
right,
it
right.
in, or sandwich board could be temporary, but those are more expensive and are easier to walk away with. I would prefer something less expensive on a temporary basis.
It's a stake and you put it in temporarily.
So I'm not sure what we've done in the past, and I don't know what the previous board did in regards to the disc golf, because that was prior to us. But do we, maybe you know this, Shannon, did we like notice that on West of the Eye or Kenosha News or something like, or, you know?
I
to-
don't recall noticing.
I think that would help too, along with that, and I think that would be,
We did have a public hearing though, correct? Or a informational meeting on the disc golf course out at Community Park?
I believe there was a public meeting on it, and I know for the walking trail in particular, there was a board
Yeah.
that was here in Village Hall for an extended period of time. I think it was almost 2 months that it was
Yeah.
up
Mhm.
visually. And it was talked about at a number of different meetings. And so there are notices. It's just maybe not as visible in the park as what maybe is being requested.
Yeah, you can always do better than what we've been doing. So I would say go with the temporaries like we do.
And see if it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just a little big in my opinion.
so something that could be reusable that I
Yeah.
would recommend would be something like this where.
So I think we could point them to our website,
Exactly.
and then it can be on our website for
So
sure.
you could have something like this that would just say, there's a proposed project for the site, please view, and I could even maybe get a QR code or something, so you can just
Yeah.
scan a picture of it for your phone. Please go to our website for more information, and then the public could go and read more
Right.
detail of what you can put on a little public sign.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yep.
Do we need to vote on that, Ramsey?
It doesn't call for it.
This says direction, so I think that's fine.
Discussion and direction. So the direction that I heard is to pursue some sort of a temporary sign like this that will direct them to our websites. That's what we will do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, 9.2, discussion and possible action on allowing the Lake Shangri-La Property Owners Association to use the Village of Salem Lakes parcel ID 704-120-361-2125, also identified as 11903 223rd Avenue for 2024 as in the past with insurance and lawn maintenance.
I'll move to approve them.
Second.
All right, Faber and Gant, discussion? Maybe you want to start, Dennis?
This is a property that we were going to create a small boat landing at, but we just don't have the plans developed at this time, so we'll allow them to use it again this year as they've done in the past, and and this makes it official. That's about it.
Okay.
Although if I heard you correctly, I thought you said 261 rather than 361 in the
Did
description.
I say 261? It's 704120361215. Okay, any other discussion or staff comments?
Until we have a plan for what we want to do with that site, I think this is a reasonable use of the space for this year.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries unanimous. 9.3, discussion and possible action to treat Silver Lake Beach with an aquatic herbicide to control water lilies for $770.
Motion approved.
Second.
Oh,
Gant and Hopkins. Discussion?
How many beaches do we have?
well. This one is inundated
I
with a
know
bunch
this.
of lily pads, and this
about-
is for 2 treatments.
I understand that, but how about, we have a beach at Camp Lake?
We
Is it
did,
overgrown with lily pads?
No, I said if we,
I'm asking, is it overgrown with lily pads?
we don't have one.
yes, there is.
No, it's a boat landing, it's not a
There's been a
beach.
beach for everywhere.
It's not a beach.
Well, I just want to make sure we take care of them all the same way. We don't,
Well, if there was a beach there, I'm sure we'd take care of it.
And I'm not opposed to that. If there is a problem with one, Sunset Oaks has a little
Right.
beach there, that's right. But there aren't lily pads. I know it's milfoil that's there, and that's a different animal
okay,
for vegetation.
but that's the only 2 beaches we have?
That's that we have. I don't know.
Okay, I just
The other
wondering.
ones are all, attached to associations. And they basically take care of the beaches that you're applying this to.
Mhm.
So this one was brought to my attention because there are a lot of lily pads there and they pose a safety
I know.
danger.
I've been there. I swim there. Okay, that's all I want to know.
All right.
And it's just over a half acre that they'll be treating.
Okay,
I think it's a good deal.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ron?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone opposed? All right, motion carries unanimous. Number 10, Fire Department, just 10.1, discussion regarding Wisconsin retirement system limitations on total hours worked for part-time fire department staff and possible action to authorize the WRS contributions for part-time staff that may exceed the maximum allowable hours per WRS.
Great, so this one is kind of a big item, so it'll take me a few minutes to kind of go through the history of it. I sent you guys an email quite a while ago, and I'm gonna recap it for the public as well. Just a little bit about our fire department. So big picture overview of our fire department. The village provides fire service not only to the village of Salem Lakes, but also to both the villages of Paddock Lake and Half of Brighton. When you look at the 2020 census, Salem Lakes has a population of 14,601 people with 33 square miles served. Paddock Lake has a population of 2,919 people with 2.9 square miles served. And we serve half of Brighton, so I divided your population in half just for ease of math. Half of Brighton is 711 people with 17.8 square miles. So the total population served by our fire department is actually about 18,231 individuals, which is not small by any stretch of the imagination for a fire department. The total geographic area served is approximately 54 square miles. Current staffing of the Salem Lakes Fire Department is 15 full-timers is what they're authorized for. They currently have 13 and are seeking 2 additionals, where we've been trying to find 2 additional paramedics in particular. But we may be looking at possibly promoting 2 firefighters that are seeking our paramedics if we can't find 2 additional paramedics. We also have part-time 34 for a total staffing of 49 firefighter, paramedic, EMTs for our fire department. So when you look at the total fire department budget, this covers things like payroll, benefits, building maintenance, equipment maintenance, everyday expenses, etc. You have about a $2.6 million general budget, with wages being about 1.9 million. In capital projects for things like fleet replacement, that's about 882,000. Giving you a really big picture overview, this helps to get into the WRS conversation. So what is WRS? WRS is the Wisconsin Retirement System. The WRS has a limitation for part-time staff of 1,200 hours. When you exceed 1,200 hours and you get to 1,200, it automatically enrolls you into the WRS. What does that mean? That means that the village has to contribute 14.32% on top of payroll wages. So we have to add that to what we're paying our part-timers in addition to their part-time salary or wages. The village currently has 6 part-time staff in WRS and 8 additional staff that are close to reaching the 1,200 hours cap, where then they'll be also eligible for WRS. The challenge here is that once staff become eligible for our WRS, they're permanently in it, even if they drop back below 1,200 hours. At that point, then the village is required to contribute the 14.32% on top of all the payroll wages. So what we need tonight is some direction. The direction requested is, number one, would you like us to keep these staff under 1,200 hours, the part-timers? Or is it okay if we exceed? That's number one. If we want to stay under, then we're going to try to cap them at 1,100 hours so that we are well below, so that if there is a critical emergency and we need to call them in, there's a little bit of capacity to call people in. The challenge with that, however, is that you really do need your part-timers because we don't have enough full-timers. So the part-timers we really rely on heavily right now for filling in the gaps. So if there is somebody out on maternity leave, on vacation, on a sick day, on whatever it is, right? If you have a part-timer available, they'll come in and fill that role because you still have to have adequate staffing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for firefighters. Ultimately, this would be my goal. I don't know if it's your goal, but my goal would be that for a department of our size with a geographical size area that we serve, you probably need to really seriously consider going towards a completely full-time department with some limited part-time fill-ins, not as many. I mean, when you look at those numbers, I'll go back to them again. Right now, you have 13 full-timers, you're budgeted for 15, supplemented by 34 part-timers. You serve 18,231 people and 54 square miles. So for a geographical area and population that large, honestly, you need to be looking at going towards a full-time department with select few limited numbers of part-time fill-ins for those emergency cases. That's my opinion. You may have a different one. So what I've done here is I put together your wages. I looked at 2023. I asked our finance staff, Betsy, thank you, Betsy, she's, 2 weeks in and she's helping me pull big numbers. So I asked her to pull what were the wages for all your full-timers, full-time overtime, part-timers, part-time overtime for 2023. Your full-time and full-time overtime added up to 886,000 886,000 and some change. Your part-time and part-time overtime added up to 446,000 and some change. So when you take from that math equation, you add up full-time overtime, part-time, and part-time overtime, you end up with $553,000. So then what does that equate to in wages? If you were to really look at this bigger picture, do we want to do the WRS contributions for part-timers, or do you want to work towards converting some of your part-timers into full-time? So if you were to convert some of those dollars of the 553,000 into 4 full-time staff, that would be a cost of about $360,000, which would still leave you almost $200,000 of funds for overtime and also part-time wages if you needed them. But it would also help you to make sure that you have 2 fully staffed full-time stations. So you'd be able to staff at that point the station 2 and station 1. So I then asked her to pull the 2024 salary calculations just so that we could be more accurate to make sure I wasn't giving you bad information. And looking at the salary calculations for 2024, this would include, if you were to take existing staff, I have it broken down to firefighter, paramedic, single family employee +1, firefighter EMT, single family employee +1, just so that you can see the comparisons between wages as well as benefits, because insurance costs and benefits are different depending on size family. I recommended a wage just for the figuring out how much it would cost for four of a $90,000. That's your loaded wage. And it appears as if I would be pretty accurate because your wage would be anywhere between $73,000 and $99,000 using the breakdowns that I just listed for hiring some full-time staff. So really what you have to think about this evening is, do we move towards hiring four full-time firefighters and backing off some of the part-timers? Or do we allow for the WRS contributions for these staff? You have to choose something because we really need these staff that are approaching that 1,200 hours. The chief can actually help to talk to that too.
So let me ask, you just have to pay that WRS after the 1,200 hours?
No, once they
Then it
become,
starts over again fresh next year?
no, it's once you hit 1,200 hours, you're always eligible from that point forward in perpetuity as long as you're working for us. For every hour you work.
So if you work 600 hours in 1 year, you're still gonna get the WRS.
Almost 600 hours, even if it's only part-time, because once you've tripped that 1,200, you're now always eligible, even if next year's only 600, all 600 hours would be eligible for that 14.32% on top of it.
So let me pose the question here. With your numbers here, you're looking at, suggesting, I should say, that if we don't do the WRS, but rather take those high performance, high hour employees that are part-time, try to convert them to full-time using some of that overtime pay, you could reasonably afford 4 moves as it stands today with $86,297,000 left. And then using your calculation a minute ago, Cassandra, of a $90,000 wage is a good target figure. If we're gonna go 4 and you've got 86,000 already, why not add the additional $4,000 and go 5 full-time out of your part-time employees?
Yeah, that would still leave you $100,000 of movement in the extra monies that I listed here when we looked at all of 2023 wages. So I'll ask Chief to speak as well, because I'm sure he's got a lot more he can add.
Thank you. We have many employees that are very dedicated, that show up on a regular basis that we appreciate. Our part-time staff supplements our full-time staff. One of our biggest, and in fact, our biggest concern is how we get apparatus out the door to serve the community. Right now, the way it exists, without the people that contribute as much as we do, we wouldn't be as effective as we are. We're continually looking for ways to enhance that and to provide better service. With respect to the people that are serving on a part-time basis who help supplement it, their lifeblood of the department, we appreciate that. However, the benefit of having full-time people in the firehouse, 2 fire stations, 4/7, allows us to provide a better level of service to the community. It lowers our response times, getting rigs out the door, getting to the calls much quicker. And it allows us to build more continuity amongst crews. Our training becomes better, our effectiveness should be better. The department as a whole becomes stronger. We also want to do so in a manner that still respects and maintains a level of supplemental backup through our part-timers. We value our part-time people. The money is the money, the numbers are the numbers. If we're going to be cost effective about it, if we're not going to continue to grow our overtime expenses, this is one method. We can lower overtime, take the money that we would be applying there, build the department in a way that we feel is going to be an effective way to deliver service. That's our ultimate goal.
So you've got 8 staff that are approaching the 1,200.
Yes, sir.
You've got 2 open positions. You're asking potentially for 4 if we go this route with the overtime dollars. And if you find the 4,000 additional dollars out of the overtime, that's 5. You're now down potentially to 7 hires of the 8 that are approaching the 1,200 hours.
That's correct.
So I also want to remind everyone that last year in July, we had already exceeded our budgeted overtime amount in the fire department. So we still had 5 months to go after that. And I think that this would help our budgeting purposes, when it comes time to do that.
I agree.
I think before we do anything here with the budget like that, we gotta start renegotiating, because we're 50% now. We almost hit 50% at Paddock Lake, did we not? 40-some%, almost 50. We've been hitting them real heavy lately.
We're busy.
Yeah.
Getting busier.
And we'll talk about that on a future agenda, I'm sure.
Brighton's contract is up for renewal at the end of the year, so we will be renegotiating that one. Paddock Lake, I've already sent them an email letting them know we need to renegotiate because they're only paying for 15%, I believe, of the service. And they're using at times up to 50% of the service. So Salem Lake should not be subsidizing service to any of our contract communities. They should all be paying a fair share. And that will be part of the renegotiation. That will also help us with staffing long-term. But the issue before you this evening is not those contracts. The issue before you this evening is specific to how do you want us to handle these WRS 1,200-hour issues? Because if we don't change something, we either have to cut them off and say you can't come anymore until we are that rolling 1,200, you gotta make sure you stay under it. So you either have to stop coming, not come as often, or we have to change our service model and add more full-timers. And concurrently, if we stay with keeping only the part-time and not adding any more full-timers, then we need to find more part-timers because that's part of what's driving up the WRS hours issue is that we don't have enough part-timers to fill all the ranks. So we're doing our best to manage the resources that we have. But long-term, going to a full-time 24/7 staff really would be in our village's best interest. And trust me, I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't like spending extra money you don't have to. This is living within your budget. This is not growing your budget. This is living within your budget. Just making sure you're staffing differently.
So Ramsey, I got a question for you. So the way the item reads here, possible action to authorize the WRS contributions for part-time. Could that, given that we as a board, if voted favorably, want to go and convert those part-time to full-time, can the motion be such? Or is it a motion to not go WRS versus go with WRS? You see where I'm going?
And then put it on the next agenda. Yeah.
I do too.
I would agree, and then you would direct me to come back on May 20th with a different action item that would ask us to do something different, whatever that direction happens to be this evening.
Yep.
So you can give us direction this evening. You can vote no on this if that's what you choose and direct us to go back and bring a different action next time, or you can vote yes on this and tell us you don't want more full-time.
I would make a motion not to authorize WRS contributions for part-time employees that exceed 1,200 going forward.
I'll second it.
But the question is these 4 or 5 people, I mean, would they step up to be a full-time firefighter? Instead of
Well, we
part-time?
can talk about that next week when it's on the agenda or next.
And simply that, we certainly have people that are qualified and definitely interested. We would naturally like to home grow our own people because they're already here. They believe in the organization and they're committed and dedicated to us. So if that were to be the opportunity, we would like to entertain that first. They have to meet certain criteria. They have to have certain certifications, or be prepared to go to further education to get those. But it's definitely something we would be interested in doing.
And if they didn't, we hired other full-timers, they'd be working less, so this wouldn't come up again.
But you're still gonna have a lot of sick calls. We got them now. So you have to have more to back the ones up to 6. So you're talking 4 full-time crews? 3-man crews?
Ideally, we would like to staff both firehouses with a minimum of 6 ultimately. And some of that would be supplemented with part-time employees. But each firehouse would have a minimum of 6 staff. Which is.
Or 1 ambulance short then?
Okay.
For the benefit of the board,
I think it over. You're still official. You're just gonna push out part-time.
yeah, but the act of the governing body would be limited to
simply the authorization on the WRS.
Right.
But the other question, whether somebody needs to, if they're indirectly related, entirely topic. This is what we expect from complex issues such as this. We're all about the
Okay. Perfect. So, yes.
Computer can, Freddie can repeat the motion.
We have a
I didn't get this.
motion
yeah.
By Mr. Hopkins, to not proceed authorizing the WRS contributions for part-time staff with a second by Mr. Faber. All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Gant,
Yes,
Mr. Barheit,
this is, repeat that again, this is,
we are not authorizing the WRS contribution.
no,
You're a no?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, 4-1. Okay,
Then we will work to minimize the number of hours so we cannot go over that 1,200.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, 10.2, discussion and possible action to allow staff to pursue fundraising for a safe haven baby box. Estimated cost for each baby box is $15,000 for Fire Station 1 through Safe Haven Baby Boxes Inc. And I think we have a video.
So, before you play the video, let me just give you a quick intro to this. So what is a Safe Haven Baby Box? A Safe Haven Baby Box is an opportunity for any mother in the community to bring their baby to a safe place if they are not interested in keeping it for any reason, no questions asked. A Safe Haven Baby Box allows you to have the baby, without even having to encounter another human. And so this is a video about what it is, and we'll play this before we talk. Oh, there's no sound. Oh.
Something fell out.
Well,
No, I don't sound. One sec.
Technology, you gotta love it.
Yeah, give us a second. We'll restart it. You can restart, please. Thank you.
All right, slightly less challenging topic than the previous. I'd like to bring forward an initiative that was created both through Cassandra and one of our paramedic firefighters, Jamie Wood. And the thing about our community service is that we've always been a part of the community. We like to know that there's ways that people can turn for help. The fire department has always been looked upon as one of those agencies that are a safe haven for people when they don't know where to turn or how to get assistance. It's been like that for 100 years. When people don't know who to call, they always call 911 and ask for the fire department. We solve problems from cats stuck in a tree to moms who don't know where to turn next. We have a solution for that, and what we'd like to present for you is just a little bit of information about it. I know that you were given a packet in through the portal, you have information, correct?
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce two of our members, Jamie Witt, who is heading up the process, and Kinsey Gay, who is part of the process. Kinsey, Jamie, and if you would, Jamie's going to explain a little bit about how the process works and why we're seeking funding tonight and who we would like to see funding through. Jamie?
okay, Jamie, can you talk into the, thank you.
I'll have it down since I'm short.
We'll let her.
Okay, can you hear me? Is that better?
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear you.
Is
Yeah, there you go.
that better?
Yep.
now I can hear you.
Okay, so my name is Jamie. I've been working, or at least trying to start, the process of getting the Safe Haven Baby Box started. This is Kenzie. She's here for my moral support. So the Safe Haven Baby Box, starts off, with the initial fee of $15,000. I'll explain the process. So in the video, they showed the box. How it works is, so it's linked to our 911 system. So when the mother or the parent opens the box, it sends a silent alarm to our 911 dispatch system. And then when there's a bassinet inside, it's a weighted bassinet. So as soon as something is placed onto the bassinet, it sends a second alarm to our 911 system. And then it starts sending the police to our fire station, letting them know that something is placed onto the bassinet. Once the door is closed, the door locks, so then the mother or the father can't change their mind and take the baby back. At that point, it gives the parent within 5 to 10 minutes, so enough time to get away or to leave. And then at that point in time, then the alarms go off in the station, like triggering, like that we have a call, so we can go up to the box. And it's a clear box on our side, so we can make sure that there's actually a baby and not like an alligator or something in there. So we can see that there's a baby in there. We open the box, take the baby out. And inside the box, it's climate controlled. There's oxygen in there, so the baby is never cold, over hot, or overheated and left without oxygen. With that, there's, like I said, the $15,000. There's also a couple annual fees that are reoccurring each year. And I can go over that too. But any other questions?
Where are there other boxes in southeastern Wisconsin?
Currently, the only other baby box is in Walworth County at Walworth Fire Station, and that was just installed recently.
So there's nothing else in Kenosha, even at the hospitals?
There is not a baby box at the hospital, but there is a safe haven program. And there's a safe haven program at the police stations also, but there's not specifically a box. So within 72 hours, a parent can surrender their child at a hospital, at a police station. But there's not specifically a box anywhere here in Kenosha County.
Do you have any idea how many babies have been surrendered, say in a year or 5 years in Kenosha County?
I don't have any of those numbers specifically. I've been trying to gather numbers. It's kind of hard from getting those numbers from the hospitals.
I know one in Twin Lakes a number of years ago.
Yeah.
I've been trying to gather numbers for research purposes, but it's the hospitals that have not been very active in getting.
Dennis, you're talking the porta potty one, correct?
Yeah, that's hard information to get. Some of it's HIPAA issues, and it's just not always easy for agencies to share how many babies have been surrendered. But what is different between the Safe Haven program, she mentioned at hospitals, police stations, and fire departments elsewhere versus the baby box. The biggest difference is that this is a no contact. You literally don't have to even show your face to the other person. They don't have to know who you were. And so it gives you a safe place to be able to drop your baby with no questions asked. And you don't have to feel the guilt the same way you might if you were having to encounter a person.
Which begs my next question then. Do you have an idea as to the location of where you would put this?
We're looking at a couple spots at the fire station right now. One of the spots is right underneath, right by the front door of our fire station in Station 1.
And is that protected by a camera?
Yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna say, if there's video cameras, people might not.
Yeah, see, that's where I was gonna go to.
Doesn't matter.
Actually, it does matter, because the whole purpose here is no contact. So I'm sure if
Anonymous.
anonymous.
There is a buzzer still on the door that presses 911, is there not?
Yes,
Press the button, it goes 911, you say what you want, and that's it.
right.
We are we'll be fully staffed with people.
The other option that I was kind of looking at was the door over by the Public Works. It's not by a camera. It's still viewable from the road. So you can still see that there's a baby box. It's a big enough area. It's like a doorway. So I think if we could build into a building, into the building, we could maybe construct that into a box without doing a lot of structural change, but I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with a lot of the construction.
Do we know how many abandoned babies happen in Kenosha County? Just abandoned, not dropped off?
Chief just got something to his watch that said there were 27 infants relinquished in the state of Wisconsin in 2023.
Okay.
So 27
The whole state.
statewide. It was the number we were able to just get. It's probably higher than that. But that's what we have
Yeah.
right now.
Do you think it would be higher if they had a system like this versus having to go in face to face, whether it's a hospital, sheriff's department, police station, whatever the case?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you said it was $15,000 approximately initial cost, right, to install?
Yes.
And then what would be the recurring yearly fee?
So recurring yearly would be, it would be, it was a $500 recurring annual fee, and that would be for the recertification of the box. I'm just making sure that everything is functioning properly. And then it also includes an unlimited repairs and parts and replacements of anything due to malfunction or negligence or vandalism of the box.
Okay.
And then there's also a $500 annual fee paid to the alarm company.
So $1,000?
Yes.
Okay.
So what you're really asking us tonight is if we would allow you to put that box on that building, and then you go and pursue the fundraising any way that you can.
Yeah. So
And I
talk.
I don't see any problem with allowing them.
Do you want to talk about that process?
Well,
the
I also
fundraising?
corrected, we just double checked. It was 27 babies in Kenosha County.
Okay.
For 2023. So that was a number for just Kenosha County. So this evening, what's on your agenda is just to allow us to enter into fundraising, to then allow us to also install the box if we're successful in fundraising. So that's what we were asking for this evening.
I would make a motion to allow the staff to pursue the fundraising and once achieved, to install the box in Fire Station 1.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Hopkins and a second by Mr. Faber. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimous. 10.3 Fire Department update regarding Fire Station 2 progress and the heavy rescue fire truck. Thank you, Chief.
Before we proceed on that, I would like to share one thing. My past previous life as an employee elsewhere, we had an experience that occurred at our fire station. And I can tell you that it's one of those weird things that you don't prepare for. We do a lot of unique calls. We do a lot of unique services through the fire service, through rescue services. And when a family member was at a place in their life where they had nowhere else to turn and they was able to care and control their infant, it's kind of perplexing and shocking experience, but it's also surreal in the sense that we now become part of that family for the moments and times that we're in touch with them. In a way that we can continue to serve our community. Certainly it's a valued service, and it brings you to the thought that had they not have an opportunity like this, what would be the outcome for those families? It's a devastating time in their life. They don't know where to turn. We don't have a problem being a part of that. I'm very proud of working through this project. So I want to commend them for their efforts and thank them for working part of this. And I'd like to see this come to fruition. I believe that we can.
And Chief, to that point that you just mentioned where Trustee Faber and I were going, is years back, a situation occurred where I don't know the whole story, but the outcome was the baby was dropped into a porta potty. So.
This is an opportunity for people to have an outlet.
And
Yes.
it had a good outcome. So good.
Okay, all right. Point of order, as you say. Thank
you. Chief Keski's going to give you an update on the department, including some of the things that we're doing and a little bit more information. I want to thank you so much for your attention and support tonight. I would like to call the Chief Keski.
Good evening.
Hi. Can you talk into the microphone? Thank you.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay, the Station 2 progress, there isn't a whole lot of progress except the title is clear now. And they're in the process of getting the new heat to the building. And bids are also being worked on by Rags. He's getting bids for the work to be done in the services for that building. That's pretty much about it as far as Station 2 right now. Now, as far as SWAT 5851, back in beginning of March, we were tasked of implementing and getting the truck in service. So what we did is we laid out a 6-phase comprehensive plan on doing such. And which included the pre-planning of what we're gonna use the vehicle for, and all the way down to phase 6, which is a 6-month review. So our men and women worked very hard to get this done in such a short period of time. And we are pleased to inform you that we have completed phase 5 out of the 6. And the truck has already ran 5 calls in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Most of them, all but one was a vehicle accident, and then one was into a vehicle into a house, which we utilized it. And the other one happened to be on a med call, which they were outside training, and they just happened to be in that area and responded to the call. So as a phase 6 comes, it's a 6-month review, and we'll reevaluate where we're at with the SWAT 51.
Thank
That's
you.
about it.
Anyone have any questions?
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
That was too quick for you.
What's that?
That was too quick for you.
You guys got a long agenda.
Okay, we will move on to the clerk's office. 11.1, discussion and possible action on the approval of applications filed with the clerk's office for the following operators license for Jacob Burton, Stephanie Frederickson, Jessica Gadke, Brittany Jellings, and Jenny Smith.
Motion.
I'll second.
Readers as listed.
Okay, Hopkins and Faber, any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Billy? Bill?
I said I.
Oh, okay, thanks. Any opposed? All right. 11.2, approval of minutes from April 29th, 2024, special board meeting, which you were handed the hard copy because there was a few corrections.
What was the change that they're doing? Was there a change to it?
There was just a numbering change. The numbers were off. The first change was just a second, was changed on the library board termination of service of Kelly. And then the second change was just numbering it correctly. So I will actually make a motion to approve the board minutes from April 29th, 2024, special board meeting
With those changes.
with those, yes, as here. Okay, so Bucher and Barheit.
Yep.
DV.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. 11.3, library board. 11.3.1, discussion and possible approval for one appointment to the library board to fulfill the remainder of Kelly Sweeting's term with a term of office ending 2026. We are choosing from the applications received, as I do not have a trustee to put into that position right now. The applications that were left from last week are Amy Janice, Molly Day, and Stephanie Caputo. I am going to make the recommendation to appoint Molly Day to that term with a term of office ending in 2026.
Motion to approve. Molly Day.
Okay, Hopkins and Gant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Move on to the Fire Commission, 11.4. 11.4.1, discussion and possible approval of one appointment to the Fire Commission to fill the remainder of Shirley Benning's term with a term of office ending 2026. This also is using the applicants that we received from last week's appointments. Andrew McFarlane, David Hart, Lucas Buzzell, Mike Matz, Paul Rosentruder, Tom Strachan, and William Ditzik.
Didn't you install David Hart for?
Doesn't matter, he applied for this one too. So my recommendation is to appoint Paul Rosentruder to that position with a term of office ending in 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Hopkins and Gant. Any discussion? Sorry, I didn't ask it the last.
I'd just like to make that comment that Shirley had been involved in things with the villages. Many of you know she was our town president for a number of years and done an excellent job over all those years.
She has, yes. Okay. So we have a first by Hopkins, a second by Gant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. Move on to 11.5, Parks Commission. 11.5.1, discussion and possible approval for 3 appointments to the Parks Commission with a term of office ending in 2027. Applications received: Doug Randolph, Eleanor Decker, Karen Elin, Lucas Buzzell, Michelle Perry, Mike Matz, and Kim Roper. So the first person that I would like to recommend for appointment to the Park Commission with a term of office ending in 2027 is Doug Randolph.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Faber and Hopkins. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The second person that I would like to recommend for appointment to the Parks Commission with a term of office ending in 2027 is Karen Elin.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Gant and Barheit. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bill, did you say aye?
Aye, yep.
Anyone opposed? All right. Motion carries. And the third person that I would like to recommend for appointment to the Park Commission with a term of office ending in 2027 is Kim Roper.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
So Faber and Hopkins. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 11.5.2, discussion and possible approval of one appointment to the Park Commission with a term of office ending in 2025 due to an appointment that was made with the incorrect term duration in 2021. So this is to correct the term of office to comply with the ordinance. In 2021, they were appointed for a 3-year term when it was supposed to be a 1-year term. Because it was filling the remainder of a term. And so the person that I would like to recommend for an appointment for that term of office ending in 2025 is Lucas Buzzell.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Faber and Hopkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 11.5.3, discussion and possible termination of service for the Park Commission. I do not have any. Number 12, closed session. 12.1, closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G for purposes of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or may be involved, specifically concerning enforcement proceedings involving property at 11220 260th Avenue, tax ID 704-120-273-0430.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Hopkins and Gant. Mr. Barheit,
I abstain.
Mr. Faber,
Yes.
Mr. Gant,
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So trustee Barheit abstained.
Yes. I have that.
Okay, so we are.
Don't you have to read
Anyhow.
number 2? Well,
Yes. And then number 2, closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub C. Compensation and evaluation, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee subject to the jurisdiction or authority of governing body and Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, specifically to discuss an employee resignation by interim clerk Eileen Anderson.
So moved.
second,
Hopkins and Gant. All right, trustee Barheit,
I wasn't there for it. I have to,
you can go in on this one. We can get you.
wasn't there. I don't know what it was.
It's for a closed session. We're going to discuss it in
Oh,
closed
we're
session.
gonna discuss it now. Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
so you can, okay, thank you. Did I do something wrong?
no, hang on, I'm just, sorry. Do we need to make a second motion to go into closed session? Can't we go in the closed session with both of them?
Yeah, you can, but I think they motioned on this first, so I don't think we've been probably.
That's why I was worried.
Okay.
How this.
All right, trustee Faber,
I'm yes.
trustee
Yes.
Gant, trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right.
I'm sorry, can I get them?
Yep, that was Hopkins and Gant on the second
Okay, thank you.
with unanimous vote for closed session.
here, Mr. Faber.
No,
Discuss the second one first. Mr. Barheit in there.
Just grab him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should get one.
We have one.
We have one.
They're right, you're on.
Want it right now? No. Yeah. When you,
No.
when you look at me, I'll push record.
Okay. 12.3, reconvene into open session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 2 for possible additional discussion and or action concerning any matter discussed in closed session and or any unfinished item remaining on the agenda. We had a motion by Mr. Faber and a second by Mr. Gant with a unanimous vote to reconvene into open session.
Madam President, I make a motion to retain Nathan Baer as special counsel to review and handle to review and handle zoning enforcement proceedings, parcel number 70-4-120-273-430.
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Faber,
Aye.
Mr. Gant,
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins.
Aye.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries 4-0.
Madam President, I make a motion to appoint Shannon Hahn as interim village clerk.
I'll second it.
Mr. Barheit,
Aye.
Mr. Gant,
Aye.
Mr. Faber,
Aye.
Mr. Hopkins.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0.
And lastly, motion to direct staff to start the process for hiring a new clerk.
I'll second that.
Trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Gant,
Yes.
trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
Trustee Faber,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimous. Okay. 13, Administrator's Office, 13.1, discussion and possible action regarding market adjustments for the below positions. Administrative Assistant 2, 2 positions. Code Compliance and Facilities Maintenance, 1 position. Highway Foreman, 1 position. Wastewater Foreman, 1 position.
All right, good evening. Thank you again for coming. So I have provided you with job descriptions for the positions that are in question this evening. Additionally, I have done a market comparison looking at multiple municipalities as well as some state surveys on salaries to ensure that I understood what the market was for these positions. We can go through them in order. So Administrative Assistant 2. Currently, we just have the category of classification called Administrative Assistant. It's my recommendation to have a second category of Administrative Assistant. So you have an Admin 1 and an Admin 2. Your Administrative Assistant 1 is somebody that would have leaner duties. They wouldn't have quite as broad of a scope. So the Administrative Assistant 2 would have broader duties. In the job descriptions provided, it shows you what those are. So for example, your Admin 1 is primarily just a secretary or admin assistant that answers phone for a singular department and does not have extra duties such as commissions, property tax, payroll, or things like that. So that's your Admin 1. Admin 2, you have 2 of those individuals. They both are responsible for commission secretaries. So one of them helps with your Board of Appeals, Fire and Planning Commission. The other one helps with the Parks Commission and is backup for Board of Appeals and Planning Commission. Both of them have to prepare minutes, prepare agendas, etc. Your Admin 1 doesn't do any of that. For the Admin 2s, one of them helps with property tax collections and prep. Both of them do daily counter payments for dog licensing, boat launches, etc. One of them helps with your accounts payable, entering information and data into your software system for that. She also serves as a backup payroll assistant. Both of them serve as notaries, etc. So I think that you're getting the point that an Admin 2 does a higher level of skill and a higher level of work. I'm not going to read the entire job description. So right now, one of your admin twos is at $19.62, or so that's what she's currently an admin on. She's at 1962, the other's at 1992. I would propose moving both of them to $22 per hour and promoting them to an admin two. Based on market for those positions is between $19.20 and $28 per hour. And when I looked at market for the position of an administrative assistant, 1 or 2, or even a receptionist, there's lots of different classifications of employees where they're not necessarily moving here for the job. They're people that live within your commuting radius. So market for these, I looked at areas around us, such as Summers, Twin Lakes, Mount Pleasant, Waterford, Pleasant Prairie, Kenosha, south of the border just a little bit, and other surrounding communities. Lake Geneva was on there as well, just to see what those comparables were. And then I also pulled a state survey, and all of that information showed anywhere between $19.20 and $28. So that one is $22 an hour is the recommendation. On code compliance, this individual does property maintenance officer duties as well as facilities maintenance. This is a very unusual combination. He was hired as just a property maintenance officer or code compliance person. However, he has pretty much anything we need in Village Hall, from switching light bulbs to painting walls to fixing broken toilets, and you name it. So he's really doing more than just property maintenance. So when we looked across the market for that, it was anywhere between $25 and $30 an hour. There were actually areas that even made more than that. For example, code compliance facility maintenance for Summers is at $77,000. For Mount Pleasant, they're between $34 and $44. For Waterford, they're at $32. Pleasant Prairie's at $26.61. And then I even looked a little south of the border, they're between $24 and $30. And then Madison was between $53 to $58. And generally across the whole state of Wisconsin, in the next statewide survey, they're about $27. So I would recommend that you consider something between $22 and $24 an hour. This individual is currently at $18.02 an hour.
He works part-time, is that correct?
That's correct, he is at part-time, so I gave you a range to consider there. But knowing what the market is and recent job postings, there was a recent job posting in Libertyville, Illinois, for example, which you can commute to from here pretty quickly. It was posted between 24 and 30. I also saw, I believe it was Round Lake, Illinois posted, and it was in the same range. And Pleasant Prairie was at 26.61 recently. And there were a few other places. I have a whole bunch of postings that I pulled. There were other ones that were higher than that as well.
And those are part-time as well.
There's a combination of part-time and full-time in there. The Libertyville, Illinois one was part-time, but they offered benefits. So they were offering that $24 to $30 an hour with benefits at part-time, which is kind of crazy. Because we're just talking about trying to bring it up just a little at a part-time, but they were offering more. I know in Lake County, Illinois, where I used to work, we struggled to get these people and to keep these people, and it was always competitive to try to bring them in. So they were always looking at higher wages there too. So, anyways, that person is at $18.02 per hour currently. Market's 25 to 30. Somewhere between 22 and 24 an hour would be recommended. I'll defer to you for your recommendations there and what you'd like to see. For highway foreman, I looked at market for that one as well. Market for highway foreman is between $31 and $34 an hour for a licensed holding water operator and highway foreman. The license is really important on this, and you'll have this for both your highway and your wastewater. In order to operate your drinking water tower by the fire station, as well as to operate your wastewater treatment facility, you are required to have a wastewater or a drinking water license. Required, it's not optional. So when you have that, it commands a slightly higher salary. So when, again, looking at the market, it's all over the place. I also looked at places that we've lost staff to. We have lost staff to Milwaukee, for example, and also into Pleasant Prairie, Kenosha. So I pulled their markets as well, and they're actually higher than the 34, but in the closer area to here, it's 31 to 34. So I would propose 31.87. This staff member is currently at $29.87, so it's a $1 an hour increase. This would create a $2 per hour wage separation between the operators and the foreman. And that does then recognize a higher level of skill, training, licenses, and responsibility. You might pay more than that to replace them. So under wastewater foreman, market for that is higher because wastewater is actually a higher level of skill than drinking water and also requires additional licenses. So the market for wastewater foreman across the state and in the region is between $34 and $36 an hour for a license holding wastewater operator. I recommended a $2 increase to bring them to $32.87. This individual is currently at $29.87. They do hold, I missed this in the memo, sorry, he holds both a wastewater and a drinking water license. So he can actually operate both the drinking water tower and the wastewater treatment plants. So that also then provides a $2 an hour or $3, for him, that would be a $3 an hour difference between the operators and himself to differentiate between the additional licenses that he holds, and their higher level of responsibility.
Now, in both of these positions at foreman, are they working 40 hours a week, or did you consider making them a salary position?
Brad isn't here, so I can't ask him if he's considered that, but they are both full-time. I don't think that they would be eligible for a salary, but I know there's certain criteria. We can look at that. I don't have an answer for you.
Madam Chairman, may I suggest that maybe we take all our employees, get them all done and get a committee together, or us to sit down and hash all this stuff out so we treat everybody fairly?
Do you want to talk to that?
So I am working through 100% of our village staff. I'm going to be bringing them to you piecemeal. Because there are some critical staff that are on the verge of meeting that I don't want to lose, and those would be your admin staff in particular. They are grossly underpaid for what they could be making elsewhere and are actively seeking outside employment. We cannot run this village without your admin assistance. So those two I'm not negotiable on this evening. I mean, I am because you're my bosses and you can go no, but if you don't keep them, we're going to struggle. So those two in particular, I would, if you don't do anybody else this evening, I would ask you. The foreman for wastewater and highway, they both applied for your superintendent position, and they are both qualified to serve in these roles as foreman. They could also leave tomorrow and make a lot more money somewhere else.
Now, is our benefit package just all the same between all these places that you looked at? Because that's where the key is in a lot of it.
Our benefit package is fantastic, which is why I'm not proposing meeting the market. So all the wages I read to you this evening are still under market because our benefits cannot be matched anywhere. So that accounts for a couple dollars per hour.
Easily.
Yes, our benefits are amazing. So even the public is listening, our benefits are amazing. So our jobs, even if the wages appear a little on the lower side, your benefits make up for it. That's why I'm comfortable with the wages that I'm proposing, even though they're still a little bit under market.
How come Bristol didn't show up on our list here?
I haven't finished this list. I'm still compiling information. However, I feel very confident with the cross section that I presented this evening that I know I'm within market.
Madam President, I would make a motion to approve a salary bump of up to $22 for our administrative assistant two.
Second that.
Two positions.
Hopkins in favor. Trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Gant,
Yes.
trustee Hopkins,
Yes.
trustee Faber,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimous.
Motion to approve a increase in salary for our code compliance and facilities maintenance position to to $23 an hour.
Does he get benefits?
He does.
Second.
Okay, Hopkins and Gant, trustee Faber,
I would have gone higher, but I'll say yes.
Sorry, the $5 increase. He's at 1802 right now, and the motion is for 23, which is $5.
And he seconded.
correct. So first by Hopkins, second by Gant. Trustee Faber voted yes.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Barheit,
No.
trustee Hopkins,
Yes.
trustee Gant,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries 4-1.
Also mentioned that all of these increases will fall within the 366,000 of savings already, that year-over-year savings. So it's not coming out of any additional funds, it's in the savings that we've already identified. So it's not costing you new monies that you have to find, it's within that savings bucket.
Got it. Motion to increase our highway foreman position to $31.87.
I'll second that.
Trustee Gant,
Yes.
trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
Trustee Faber,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimous.
And lastly, to increase our wastewater foreman position to $32.87 per hour.
I will second that. Trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Faber,
Yes.
trustee Gant, trustee Hopkins,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimous. 13.2 interim,
President,
sorry.
can I ask a question? When, I know that you're approving that right now, but today is the start of a new payroll. Can that take effect? You want it to take effect tomorrow morning
I
or
think it's
this morning?
with tomorrow's wages, wouldn't you? I mean,
Is that possible? Even if we started
It-
tomorrow?
Everything's possible. It just makes it a little payroll a little more difficult, but it's okay. That's why I was asking if. Okay,
Or would we be better off waiting until the second pay
the start of the next pay.
Yeah, probably.
of the month?
Easier.
I can make it happen. It's fine.
Yeah, but you get paid this week, right?
We do, but well, yesterday started a new payroll. So the next paycheck
Oh, I
would
see.
take effect, but I'll have one,
1 day of,
and if one of them worked yesterday.
right?
So would you like it to start tomorrow, or would you like it to start at the beginning of the next pay period? Either one.
Tomorrow.
Next paper,
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow goes.
I'll do it tomorrow.
overtime out.
You lost again.
Okay, 13.2 interim clerk appointment. Not quite sure what to do here.
We've already done that. We did make a
Okay.
motion when we came out of closed session.
Okay,
Just for clarification, I'd like to do it again. Let's see,
Thank you.
we only put one,
Yep. All of them?
both of them, we only had two more.
Shannon. Yeah.
On appointee.
Yeah.
And,
So I make a motion to appoint Shannon Hahn as interim village clerk.
And I second.
Yes, you did. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And motion to direct staff to start the process for hiring a new village clerk.
Mr. Faber, you seconded it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, great. 13.3, process to appoint replacement board member.
There's a Ramsey topic, so I'm going to turn the microphone to Ramsey. Ramsey, you actually have to come here to the mic, because that in front of you does not.
No, he can talk pretty loud.
I can turn the open here.
Well,
If
what I learned when I was watching the videos online is that is not actually a microphone in front of us, so you can't hear it as well online.
Oh, okay.
So
Can't hear anybody online.
You actually have to talk into this if you want to hear anybody.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna work on remedying that for anybody that's sitting at the side table.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, you got blocked in the mic.
Okay. So the village's options in a situation like this is, one would be to hold a special election. Two would be to allow the position to sit vacant until the next general election. And the third is appointment. So this board can, most village boards proceed through an appointment process. That is by and large the most common approach that Wisconsin villages take in this situation. And there's really no rules. You're not gonna find any specific rules that govern this in the statutes covering villages or the general municipal statute, chapter 66. And so with the process of you vetting who you think might be appropriate candidates, they can apply. And then you make a decision, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Okay.
It's not very complicated. I mean, this isn't going to be like having interviews of the village administrator or other type of positions. This isn't like hiring a fire or police chief through the fire commission. It's a much more streamlined and normal process.
Thoughts?
That's, this is how I got on board initially, and what I did is sent a resume, and they selected individuals, and then we, when we were selected, they gave us 5 questions in advance to prepare an answer for, and then we appeared in front of the board, and everybody just rated the person, and the highest one got the position.
Mhm.
And I'll echo what Dennis said with myself, except I didn't get the questions in advance, so I couldn't study for it.
Oh.
Yeah, some do it in advance, some don't, or you can do a hybrid approach where you do ask basic questions and then when they come, you can ask additional questions. Nothing wrong with that. But I think tonight you need to simply set some general rules. When do you want to receive any applications by? You can have, basic interview back and forth with the person. And then you make your decision from that. The only rule that exists is no secret ballot.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Here's my thought right now on this, is the fact that when we have a quote unquote full board, we have an even number. And that might make it difficult because if it came to a vote on a topic, you could split 3 and 3. Because we don't have an odd number on this board tonight. So I would rather see us fill Kelly's position sooner than later.
And I agree with that. And you could have a tie when you're voting for the candidate as well.
Yep.
But the clerk then had a vote. That's the way it worked in my situation.
That wasn't the point, that was.
But we are only-
Position back then, now it's not.
You're
I mean, it was an elected position, now it's appointed.
You're absolutely right in terms of the vote, and then also just the workload of village board members, so the sooner you can get someone on here, the better.
And that has to be on an agenda,
It will have to be on an agenda.
the next agenda.
Well, you don't have to have on the next one, but on an agenda as soon as possible.
Right. To entertain the acceptance of
Yes.
candidates, and then we review those, and then we select the ones that we'd want to interview. And
Do we want to interview them at the next board meeting? And then can we,
Well, I think you can announce from starting tonight that this is gonna be our deadline, but
Correct.
to receive applications, and you can post that on your website, and you can repeat it in the next agenda.
So it has to be-
Communication begins tonight, but then I think the real date you need to think about is what is your deadline by which you receive these.
my thought is that we accept applications until the 15th and we discuss it on the 20th and ask those that we could all send Cassandra our thoughts. And then ask those that we choose, which I would want to keep it to a small number, And then on the 20th, we have them here, we ask them questions, and then we make a decision. We have a lot of work to do. We are also, I just want to remind everybody, only 1 month out from the election that we just had. That's that. So Cassandra, if we could, how does everybody feel about that? Or do you feel it's too rushed and it needs to go into the June meeting? Because then it wouldn't be until June 10th. Do you think it's too rushed?
So if we have to have them in by the 15th, we can still make it possibly
The
make a decision on
15th
the
is
20th.
next Wednesday. We could put it in West of the Eye and ask them to post it right away. And then they could all come to you and then you can.
It's a little aggressive.
We have a lot to do.
It's a little aggressive. I'm not gonna lie. You're down a full-time staff member and I'm helping now create agendas and help triage, right? So we'll move at whatever pace you ask.
Well, whatever you guys think.
Well, we are video recorded at these meetings now, so there are a lot more people that are aware of things that are going on, and word does spread that way. It's
I would
different
say-
than what it used to be. I mean,
I would say let's try
It's
it.
all gonna be local people, just put it up on the board out front. And advertise where we can. I mean, it's not like we're bringing in from other areas, it's all gonna be somebody from this district, or this village.
Well, yeah. it
They
has
have to live in the village.
Right, I know, but I mean, it's not gonna be, they're not, the chance of them driving by here is gonna help, just advertise it wherever we can. And take what we get.
So I think what I would like is if each board member can come up with a question, one question. Send it to who? Cassandra, you or Shannon?
I would say send it to Cassandra.
I mean,
Send it to Cassandra
We can copy Shannon on it. I mean, that's. Yeah.
and,
Right?
So then let me ask the question, how are we going to ask the candidate these questions?
in public right here, just like
Okay.
that.
Well, the one flaw that worked, that was in, when I went to be appointed, was we had 4 people, I think, correct, Doug?
I believe so.
Yeah, but you didn't mix up who got the question, each question the first time. So you always went down the line, so the person last had the longest period of time to think of an answer, especially if somebody else had bits and pieces, they merged it. You know where I'm going? So the process.
I don't recall that that's how it was done. I'm not saying it was or was not, but. I think you balanced that off by sequential.
Yeah.
Yeah, sequential.
Yes, correct.
Put them in.
And that's where I'm going with time.
well, it
If
might,
it's gonna be in an open session,
but we already knew.
then it should be, if we ask the first question of candidate 1, the next question should be candidate 2, the third question should be candidate 3 who kicks them off. Because otherwise, if we always go down the same line,
John Pool's not here still.
Well, as I mentioned, Bill, earlier, in my situation, we had the 5 questions in advance.
Yeah.
And
We
that-
did.
We did.
Because I
Ronnie was in
I
on it,
was
too.
I was running with him at the same time.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I've seen this done a few different ways in the past. In Lake County government, they actually did the interviews like we do with the fire commission, where you have it in closed session and you ask each individual the same set of questions and you don't have any influencing by the other individuals. So for the fire commission, that's how we interviewed the interim chief. Can we do that, Ramsey? Because that's how I've seen it done, where you can do it in closed session, ask the same people, who can rank them, and then you come back out in open session and give the results.
And then can
I
you,
don't think we can follow what they.
No, I know that. But I'm just asking you a question.
Yeah.
We did do
No,
it.
it's a fair question, but I think that would be best to handle this entirely.
No, all in, okay.
Are-
So just-
To you, because
so
code doesn't speak to any particular. problem.
are we allowed to go into closed session to discuss the candidates?
No, excuse me. for interrupting. What we did is we scored them individually, one to five. And then you add it up,
Really difficult.
and maybe,
I'm just,
so there's 25 points, somebody gets 25, somebody gets 23, somebody gets 22.
the only reason I bring this whole thing up, and I didn't mean to cause a quagmire here, was that the lady to my right, who happened to be candidate one, who always got the very first question, said something afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened to be candidate four, who took some of what I said and added it to his piece.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I bring this up.
Well, we were kept
Making it hard.
separate. We were kept separate when we did it.
Yeah.
We had the answer, we had the questions, we gave the answers, but we were kept separate.
Yeah.
Went in one at a time in open
There you
session.
go.
I believe it would have to all take place, and then I can double check, there's 14 exceptions to go into close, there's other statutory. Other points in the statutes that may allow closed. But I don't want to say you can because it's good.
So it seems
I don't
like,
want to go in closed session. I
it
want to,
seems like,
You-
the consensus is accept letters of recognition, and whatever you want to call it, interest.
choose from the letters, choose.
Yeah,
Why don't you give them the questions and let them write the answers and turn those in? And then you'd already have their answers before your board meeting and then clarify them at the board meeting.
I'd like to see their personality.
The fourth candidate got like 1,300 votes. Why are we making this count?
Yeah.
I mean, he's gone out on the hard, he's gone banged on doors. Now we're gonna let somebody just walk in and hasn't really put much effort.
I personally think that would be very unlikely, but I think it's fair to go through the process.
mhm,
I think the conclusion may already be
right.
written, but to be fair,
All right, so here then, I think we'll
and you
just
may not get anybody that even wants a job, maybe one guy.
submit your questions to Cassandra. Then we'll talk about it on the 20th. And unless we can do it via email ahead of time and choose the questions, and it can go out and be posted, and then we can ask for the letters back by the 20th and discuss it on the 20th. How's that? So if everybody gets their questions to Cassandra, their one question to Cassandra by the end of this week, it could be posted Friday.
One
One question, I think, because then that's, one question per. And then it could be posted Friday. And we'll have it on the agenda on the 20th.
And then you'll have your applications in by what?
Yes. Applications in by, I would say, the 17th, which is the following Friday. And that gives us the weekend to review them. And then we can discuss it on the 20th and, we'd probably need some agenda language because I don't know if we'll actually make the selection on the 20th, depending on how many people put their name in. But if we wanted to, I want the option.
Absolutely,
Okay,
that can be done.
how's that sound?
Yep.
You seem good. Okay, thanks. Okay, 13.4 discussion and direction requested regarding board committees.
Good evening. Let's try to keep this brief. It was requested that I bring an item before the board this evening to talk about board committees. Basically like your standing committees. You don't currently have standing committees. You have your commissions, like Parks Commission, Parks, Planning Commission, Board of Appeals, Board of Review. These would be different. So these committees would be something like a Personnel and Finance Committee and a Safety and Public Works Committee as examples. If you did those kind of committees, a Personnel and Finance Committee, the departments that would generally report to that kind of a committee would be Administration, Finance, and the Clerk. This committee would review things such as budget, policies, donations, job descriptions, hiring processes, employee reclassifications, wages, union contracts, worker compensation, insurance, and other like items. Of course, those items would also then go to the board. These would be like committees that would meet before your board meeting, review the things that are on your agenda, and then you would review them as an entire board in a board meeting. Then this other committee that you could consider, and of course, any variation of these, would be your safety and public works departments that would generally report to that committee would be public works, which would include highway, wastewater, drinking water, and then of course, fire and rescue. That would be specific to our community here. This committee would review things like street and sewer projects, related contracts, park items, events and street closures, code enforcement, change orders, and other like items. You could also consider doing something like an economic development commission. An economic development commission is generally used to advise the village board on economic development issues like tax increment financing, business expansion and retention, downtown redevelopment, developing grant applications and funding sources, and annexation type topics. Generally speaking, you would have like a commission of 5 people that would be elected from your general public with 2 board members as well. And then they generally would have to be, well, they would have to be a resident of the village or have ownership interest in a business or other property to be able to serve on it. And preferably they'd have a background in economic development, banking, or finance would be helpful. And then they'd have term limits. And then a committee of the whole. Previously you did have a committee of the whole. At the beginning of this year, I recommended not having your committee of the whole because you can do committee of the whole type discussion at a board meeting. It wasn't because it's not a good idea to have a committee of the whole, it's because you have a lot of action items that require 2 meetings a month at the moment. Perhaps if you would like to go back to a committee of the whole, we could consider that in 2025, where you return to 1 board meeting per month for action and 1 committee of the whole meeting per month for discussion. The thing with a committee of the whole is you can't take action at those meetings, those are discussion only. So the 2 meetings a month is giving you an opportunity for both discussion and action twice a month versus only once. That's my brief overview of what you could consider. If you are interested in doing something different, of course, the world of opportunity is wide, and if there's something different than what I proposed, we could talk about that. For anything that I proposed, I would ask that you not start it until 2025, because we got to get our feet a bit more firmly under us before we start additional committees and commissions.
Cassandra, there are some of us that have other commissions, however you want to slice and dice it, such as the lake districts. I know, Dennis, you have 2. I have 1. I also have Fox River, Southeastern Wisconsin Fox River Commission. Dennis, you have Comprehensive Master Plan. Ron, you have Parks. And in here you have, generally speaking, 3 board members on each of the committees.
Yeah, we'd be busy.
We have board members that need to step up to the plate and start getting on some of these commissions and committees, as opposed to looking the other way and having others do twice as much. I also see here where you talk about safety and public works. My thought is to try and keep safety separate from public works because, well, I don't see on here as an example, is Kenosha County Sheriff. They provide us information, but it's typically when we ask them to come here or through an email. And I'd like to see a better relationship with them where it becomes proactive versus reactive, if that makes sense. So a safety committee would be the fire and sheriff's department.
You could actually put KSC under Safety and Public Works Committee as well as your Lakes District items. Those could fall under that. So just as an example, these types, I'm not exactly sure what I was supposed to bring, so this is what I brought, but this is.
It's an initial discussion.
This is what I was supposed to bring.
It is.
So I'll give you an example. So in Brainerd, Minnesota, where I was a city administrator, these are the actual committees that we did have there. They functioned as a subcommittee of the board. They would meet immediately before the board meeting. They would go into greater detail than you would normally go into at a board meeting. So they would review in depth whatever items were on the agenda for that evening. If they had a board meeting there that I think started at 7 o'clock at night, the committee, depending on the length of the items on that agenda, they'd either start at 6:30, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever they needed, the duration of time to talk about all the items that were on it. And so you would roll up everything that you would normally talk about in a village into those two subcommittees. That's how they did it. That's how I've seen other communities do it as well. But I've also seen other communities do it the way we are doing it right now, where all items are discussed as a full board in full every time.
I firmly am committed to at least going down a road of creating committees. Actually, I've been asking Rita for some time for that. And I did the same with our previous administrator, or not administrator, village president as well. And that's how I found out we had these other commissions and committees outside of what we typically see here, such as sewer pack, comprehensive master plan, Fox River and so forth and so on, because then they started asking, where is your representation? But not only do we have the, say, for example, a primary seat, we have an alternate seat that we have not been able to fill on most of this stuff outside of the community, let alone these things inside the community. But I do like this start. I really do.
Yeah, and I think that that's all valuable discussion, because so everybody is aware, you will have what's considered statutory type committees or commissions, like your Board of Zoning Appeals and your Fire Committee. You will have other types of commissions that are totally outside of the purview of the village governing body, such as sewer pack. So whatever commissions that are being proposed or floated around, and this may require further discussion, are typically going to be subunits to the governing body. They're only going to make recommending decisions only. They're only there to help you focus, maybe work with staff to try to create some efficiencies and reduce workload overall for the benefit of both the governing body and the community. Some villages have several of these type of committees, some have only one, some operate only through a committee of the whole system. If you're going to have committees, more likely than not, you probably can only put 2 of you onto the committees. And the rest would be appointees from, your permanent position of citizen.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to do one at a time and do the homework and get it figured out. The one that I believe is the most important is the finance and administration. And I think that, we can't work on 3 or 4 of these at one time. We need to, do one at a time and focus and do the work. So, personnel and finance, whatever we're gonna call it, I think that's what we need to start with. And we need to discuss, get a full list of what they're gonna do, how they're gonna do it. Is this a paid committee? How many members and who? What else do we need?
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
Before we even get to that stage, what about just providing an overall list of what everything is? Both those inside the village as well as outside, and see where we might be able to group and then start collecting the data. Does that
I
make-
have a list started, which I would be happy to share.
I would like to, yeah.
But and I can do that. I can share it with you and you can send it. But I think that, we need to figure out, at least for the first one, because I do think everybody up here probably agrees that finance and administration or personnel, whatever you want to talk about, is probably the more important right now. And so we can do a little homework on that in the meantime.
Yep.
And Cassandra probably, I could give you this list, but I'm sure can expand it immensely, to help us out to get started on that.
But this is a good start. I mean, I'm not trying to upset the apple cart here. I like where this is going. I want to see it to fruition. That's all.
Yes.
I just tried to put something on paper that made sense in my head, because if you explain to me, I can help you.
So I'll share this with you and then, you know, if we want to send that out to everybody, if you have anything to add, and then we can get, I guess my point is that I would like to try to put this on at least, well, I don't know what your thought is, every meeting, just to have a small discussion to keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
I like it as well. We used to have liaison people for the different park committee, and I was planning and zoning and on work parks at one time. And then we got away from that and went to committee of the whole. And that meeting was supposed to be discussion from the audience and everyone and just to discuss topics. And now we combined committee of the whole with our agenda. And but I like this proposal.
Okay. All right.
So I'll continue to on this and work with you on figuring out how and when, what gets implemented.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
No action is needed on that, it was just discussion and direction. So,
Yep, thanks.
the next item, you ready for it?
13.5, Administrator's Office Update Staffing.
Sorry, I might be a little tired after the rush.
It's okay.
13.5 is staffing. This is just a really quick overview. I just wanted to let you guys know, we have hired 11 new firefighters for the time. We have also hired 3 new public works employees. We've offered 2 more. We were trying to get the full staff. We had 1 decline to offer over the weekend, so we're back to trying to recruit still for that. We've got 2 vacancies left in public works. So we're almost at full staff. Not quite, but almost. And then also on staffing, we've got Betsy, which is great. Shannon, thank you for helping us out. And we're not going to lose anyone in terms. This is fantastic. Thank you. I really have nothing else. That was it. We're moving forward, just trying to continue to fill positions. The actions you took this evening are going to help to retain positions and not lose anyone. And then over the next several months, I will continue to review market. And as we get into the budget session, I will provide you some additional information on market for all of our positions across the board. You do have 2 union contracts. One is for firefighters and the other one is for our public works staff. So while I will be reviewing market for them, I will be bringing that to you as well. Those are negotiated wages for the majority of those positions. So I will let you know what the market is, and then that will then be negotiated with the union. Hopefully they will do whatever proposed. So that's all I have for you this evening. Thank you for bearing with us on a very long meeting.
Yes, thank you. And everyone else.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, 14, adjournment. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Luker Barhay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ron?
Ronnie?
Dennis?
Aye.